With the seemingly constant threat of civil unrest, or winter storms and power outages, or even the recent earthquakes, add on top of that the federal government telling you you need to be 2 weeks ready. And what does that mean? You may be like millions of others out there who are just wondering, where do I even begin? Or perhaps you're like me, feeling the financial squeeze and thinking getting prepared just isn't even possible. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to be 2 weeks ready for any one of these scenarios that might leave you without water and electricity. And I'm going to show you how to do it all for under $100. If you're new here, like so many of you are, you may be wondering, who's this guy and why should I listen to him? My name's Jeff, and I've spent the last 30 years of my life as a protector, defender, and first responder for my country and my community. I've been a firearms instructor while I served in the United States Marines, a sniper in the National Guard, a professional wildland firefighter and structural firefighter, EMT, and hazmat responder. And I've served as an emergency operations center specialist, which in layman's terms means the guy responsible for picking up the red phone to notify the state, the counties, the cities, all the first responders that there's a disaster or an emergency happening. You know, the guy responsible for telling hundreds of thousands of people if it's time to shelter in place or time to evacuate and where to go to be safe. It's this specialized training and real-world experience that helps me help you get trained, get prepared, and stay safe. I don't take this subject lightly because I know that hundreds of thousands of people's lives hang in the balance of these decisions and the advice that they're being given. And as I've said before, it's my heart that none should perish. Now that you know who I am, time's a-wasting, so let's get to it. I've prepared this list of essential preparedness items based on budget and the critical things you need in the event that the lights go out and the water turns off. I've done it in such a way that everybody here should be able to have access to it, whether it's through online ordering from Walmart or Amazon, or even being able to go to your local stores. Now bear in mind, some of these may be a little more expensive at different places, but you might also be able to save more money by shopping locally. So this is just a starting point. I want to give you that information so you can make the best decision financially and for your family. The first thing I want to talk about is water. If you don't have safe drinking water, safe water, food, and cooking, you're done in a few days. I have done the research and found a gravity water bag filter that comes in at $26.99. This filter allows you to get water from any source, whether it's a pool, a pond, a stream, a creek, or even maybe a water source that's compromised, been sitting there for a while. If you had jugs laying around that were filled with water, but it's been a few years, you can put all that water through this filter and it's going to naturally gravity feed and give you safe potable drinking water. Now what I'm not going to cover is actually storing water, because I would recommend that you use any kind of empty containers you have. Personally, I like to use old milk jugs. As soon as they're empty, I rinse them out. I like those better than most gallons of water out there nowadays because the milk jugs have a screw-on lid, which makes it easier to keep that lid from popping off and losing all your precious water. At any rate, you can use any kind of empty container, clean it out, put water in it, and there you go. You've got water stored up. The other thing you can do is, if you have a little bit of advanced warning, fill up your bathtub. You can take that bag filter, scoop it right out of the bathtub, and you're going to have clean drinking water. Next on my list is having a way to start a fire. My first preference is always a Bic lighter, but believe it or not, a good old trusty box of matches coming in at 97 cents was the cheapest way to go for compiling this list and staying under that $100 threshold. Now it comes with 320 matches. Realistically, you shouldn't use all of those in 2 weeks just starting a fire to be able to cook with, but it's a critical essential that you've got to cover, so that's how we're going to cover it in this video. Again, there's lots of different options. I'm just trying to stay budget minded. How can somebody get 2 weeks ready under $100? Next is having a way to cook safely indoors. What I've selected is a stainless steel card stove that can burn both wood and denatured alcohol. Now, obviously you're not going to burn wood in the house, but it gives you an option to do it outside if you run out of denatured alcohol. This is coming in at $9.72. It's small, it's compact, it's easy to store, but it's also something you could set on top of your counter, put some denatured alcohol in it, and you've got a way to be able to cook, you've got a way to boil water, you've got a way to create some of those sand batteries that I mentioned in a previous video that will help keep your house warm for hours. This next item on my list is the most expensive item on my list. It's coming in at $28.84, and that's a 3-liter pressure cooker. You want to have a way to be able to cook fast and efficiently and conserve as much fuel as possible. So that's the number one way to be able to do it. You can also use it as just a regular pot by keeping the lid off, and so you can cook and make soups or other things like that. I mentioned denatured alcohol. You may not be aware of what that is, but it's basically the fuel for your stove. That's what's going to burn and give you a fire. This is coming in at $13.51. Now that we've established water and a way to cook and stay warm, we're going to move on to food. You've got to have some non-perishable food items stored. First, we're going to start with 2 boxes of instant oatmeal in a variety 10-pack. For both of these boxes, it's coming in at $3.74. Why do I say instant oatmeal? That's going to give you a quick, fast, easy way to make a breakfast and keep you going throughout the day. It'll stick with you for quite a few hours. Next is white rice coming in at 92 cents and a pound of pinto beans coming in at $1. These are going to give you great calories. They'll cook really fast in a pressure cooker, and they'll sustain you if you've got nothing else to eat. Now those can be kind of blah or bland if you don't have any seasoning. So I've added a 3.5 ounce jar of granulated chicken bouillon coming in at $1.64. All right, the last food item on my list is a 3-ounce can of potted meat. I know you might be wondering what the heck was that for and how is it going to do any good, but I'll get to that later. It will add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of protein to that first meal that you're going to have when the lights are out. With food covered, I would recommend you find an easy recipe for cooking rice and beans in a pressure cooker that gives you the water ratio, the beans ratio. That way you know how to cook it, have it printed off and ready to go. That way when the lights are out, you're not trying to search for it on the internet that isn't working. That's 2 weeks worth of food for one person at only $7.96. Obviously that's not a 5-star meal, but you're not going to starve to death. And at $7.96, you can easily scale this up for multiple people in the house. You could probably even save money by buying more in bulk. Obviously, it's going to drive that price up past that $100 threshold. I just wanted to keep this whole list under $100 for one person. Bearing in mind, you're not going to have to buy another pressure cooker. You're not going to have to buy another stove. You may need to buy a little bit more fuel, but all those things are going to be relative to how many people you have, and the food costs are the minimal part of this whole list. The last thing on my list today is an emergency hand crank radio. It's coming in at $11.98. Easy to crank it up. It's got a little solar panel on the top if you want to set it outside to charge, and it's got additional ports on the back here if you need to charge a device. It's going to allow you to use a flashlight, so it's going to provide light when you need it. It also has AM, FM, and weather band radio, so you can get those alerts and information that you need in the event that the lights are out and you have no other way of getting information. Oh yeah, you're probably wondering about that can of potted meat that I mentioned earlier. What you're going to do is you're going to take that, dump it into your pot for your first meal, and then you're going to take that can, hopefully you've got a little bit of water, you can rinse it out and dump that in your pot as well. Then you're going to take some of the cardboard from the box that all this stuff got delivered to you in. You're going to rip it off in strips, flatten those strips out, and roll them into a circle, really, really tight. And you're going to shove that inside that can. Then you're going to take some of that denatured alcohol, safely go outside, pour it into that can, and fill it up. This is what you're going to use to hold the fuel for your stove that you're burning inside. The reason I say to fill it outside is because if you spill any of that anywhere and then you go to light that stove, I guarantee you're going to have a big problem that you don't want to have inside. So go outdoors where it's safe, fill that can, and go ahead and place it in the stove and then light it once you've got it in. Make sure you've dried off any of that denatured alcohol if you got any on your hands, because again, that'll light up real quick and that's a bad day. That's going to wrap it up for my list today. The grand total is $99.97, coming in at just under $100 for you to be 2 weeks prepared. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Obviously, this is a very concise list. There's so many other preparedness items you could get. If budget isn't a concern for you, there's lots of other options and alternatives that might be even better suited for your situation. But this is a way to get started for under $100, especially if you're new to preparedness and just kind of worried about the things going on and you just want to have a little bit more peace of mind about your situation and the things going on around you. Again, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. I absolutely love the comments you guys have been leaving, and I appreciate your help, your advice, and your tips. We're all learning from each other. Until next time, keep practicing, keep prepping, and stay safe. American Thrivalist out.